This is Visionary New Earth Leaders podcast, empowering visionary healers, entrepreneurs, and ex-corporates who are ready to actualize their fullest potential through expanding their consciousness and embodied leadership. I'm your host, Gennye Rainbow Anderzon, New Earth business mentor, channel, and master healer, leader of my own business with 20 plus years experience in energy work, mentorship, and coaching. I'm a married mother of two, based outside London in the UK. In Visionary New Earth Leaders, we are going to share about world-leading, cutting-edge tools of energy transformation, intuitive and soul-led business and marketing strategies, and innovative, groundbreaking thought leadership, paving the path into the new earth. So if you're ready to step into leadership, this is the vortex supporting leaders and CEOs into the new earth. Hello and welcome back to Visionary New Earth Leaders. So I'm happy that you're here again. I love connecting with you in this way. And wherever you are in the world, you're obviously meant to be listening to this exact episode today. And today we're talking about releasing trauma to unlock your income and success. So if you have been listening to this podcast, you know by now that I am absolutely obsessed with releasing anything that is blocking your success, whether that is a hidden energy block, or whether that is a trauma, or whether that is a DNA programming, whatever it is, I'm obsessed about releasing and clearing it so that every single person on this planet alive can have the success and the abundance and the freedom that they really are born to have this lifetime. So let's dive into this today, because this topic today is obviously going to overlap some of the other things that we've been talking about in this podcast. But I really want to go into the trauma piece of things, because we all have traumas, micro traumas and bigger traumas. Some of them we don't even actually know they exist because they're such mini T's that you just don't know. You just didn't even notice, and they are affecting us. The bigger ones, you would know about those because you're consciously feeling them, or you're remembering what happened to you or a specific incident, etc. So the traumas, I just want to go into this first. So a trauma is an imprint that is blocking the flow of your absolute most optimal self and most optimal performance. And it's just how it works, because it hides in your subconscious. It triggers your nervous system to react in a specific way, feel, think, and act in specific ways. It will have this kind of cloud over you, which you sometimes can't put your finger on. So if you think of trauma as a blanket, it's like a blanket that is dimming your light. And we really want to take this blanket off and move forward, in our lives and address these things in different ways. So I'm going to talk about today about financial success and abundance in general and business success, how trauma is really stopping your ultimate success. And this is not to say that you have to heal all your trauma and every single thing that you could ever possibly think of before you can have success. Absolutely not this way. I keep healing my traumas. Sometimes, so I'm going to tell you this story before we go into the actual topic. You may want to get yourself a pen and paper. Some of you might be doing that anyway for this podcast, but so you can do that. You can go and get yourself a pen and paper, and I'm going to tell you the story whilst you do that. So my true trauma healing actually started around age 24. I think that was the first time I had some healing around mother-father stuff. And it has continued since. So when I qualified as a divine healer, this was in 2009, that's when I really dove into deeper trauma healings. I had been having counseling, had a counseling specific focused on astrology and counseling therapist for many years before I did divine healing, the light body activations, and the soul contract work. So what I realized was that it is a continuous journey that should be embraced and be enjoyed. So it's not about, oh gosh, I have all these things I need to clear and I can't be successful before I do it. Absolutely not. You can take the aligned steps towards your success whilst you're healing. But the key is the commitment. The key is very much the commitment to say, okay, well, I'm going to take some strategic aligned steps, and I'm going to go through some of those today. At the same time, I am committed in, for example, Gennye's Connected Soul Club, or my Light Body program, or some other program that you feel drawn to clear, Ascension Clearing Kit, for example, or you might have work one-on-one with me. Whatever the level of sort of commitment that you're prepared to do will always, always, always move the needle for you. So it's not about that you have to do everything now. It's about getting started, make sure you're committed, know that every time you clear something and heal and replace it with something much more powerful that is really locking in your highest potential, you're moving the needle. And because this is another thing I want to say as well, because you are the channel, like you are the body of success, like you are the actual portal for the success. So you can only reach the level of success that you are seeing in your vision when you're investing in yourself. It's almost like what got you here won't get you there. I think I've said this before. So to move forward, there's always a new level, another devil. So I just advise everyone who's listening to the podcast, get started with your clearings and healings. Get started with the programs. Get started with the Ascension Clearing Kit. Get started with, you can go to my website, gennylyon.love, and get inside the Activate Your Soul Business bundle. There is the bioenergy clearing. There is an energy clearing in that bundle. Like, just get started, right? So let's dive into this and why it's so important. So I'm going to go through the different things that you could potentially see that you found yourself in, and that is actually stopping your success, your abundance, your prosperity, your personal power, confidence, and all those things, which is ultimately when we heal ourselves, we become more confident, we become more focused, more grounded, become this person that we want to be, and we take aligned action and success follows. So the first thing I want to talk about is emotional triggers and money behaviors. So when we talk about trauma around money, that could be things like you may have had emotional triggers in your life that is then leading to harmful money behaviors. So, for example, someone who experienced financial instability during childhood may develop a scarcity mindset, which is leading them to hoard money or avoid spending even when it's necessary, or they will copy how they were brought up and keep living in financial instability because they're just reliving the thing. Now, the key here is to recognize the pattern and know that you can change it. Trauma survivors may use money also as a coping mechanism, which then leads to overspending or financial sabotage. I'm going to share a story with you, which is around my father and his parents, which is my grandmother and grandfather. So this is the tip of the whole thing. This is like the most amazing story. So my granddad, he was brought up in the country and he was sent, away to the city, if you like, to work in factories. He started out as a farm boy who would help at a farm. And then he was sent into the city, so to speak, to work in a factory. So he did the typical thing. He saved and he came from nothing, literally poverty. They were like 8 kids in this one little cottage in the middle of nowhere. They had a couple of farming animals and they were like living off the land. It was really very, very poor. So he then went to the city. So he did the thing. He had a salary. He worked all his life in this particular factory. He saved every single penny that he could possibly save. My grandmother, she was the absolute opposite. She will spend every single penny that she earned. She used to work as a chef in the prison in Jönköping, where I'm from in Sweden. And she used to work there to cook the meals. Now, this was the very reason they actually split up, because she would overspend and my granddad, it would make him absolutely cringe. Like they couldn't get on anymore. Then my dad and my uncle, so I'm not going to involve my uncle in this because he's got his own journey, but my dad, this is exactly what happened to my dad and my mum and also my dad's ex-wife, which is my sister and brother's mother. Exactly the same thing, but he overspent. My dad overspent, and then my mum left. And again, he overspent with my sister's mother, and she left. She just did the same as my mum left. Now, isn't that an interesting story? Because he just repeated exactly what my nan and granddad did, but it was just reversed roles of, you know, it was his mum that was the woman who spent everything. Now, in theory, that could continue with myself and my sister. It has not. We've stopped the cycle because I decided to not relive the cycle. And actually, it is the opposite. I'm very, very good with money because my mum she's very good with money. And I'm actually, as you know already, have decided to break this pattern for the family, for the ancestral line. And I'm doing that together with my husband because we work as a team. So if you think of this, I'd like you to think back on your timeline. Think about your life. Think about your mum and dad. Think about your grandparents. Think about how everything was set up and how you can actually stop repeating the pattern. The next thing I want to talk about is difficulty in building trust. So any type of trauma. Now I'm talking about, this is kind of money trauma, right? But if we're talking about any type of trauma, it can still trigger a person to go into fear, regardless of what the trauma is. But trauma often erodes an individual's ability to trust. And this can then extend to financial matters. So although there wasn't a particularly money trauma, it was more around the behavior around money that then determined the actions of my father and determined the actions of his life as well. People with unresolved trauma, they may find it challenging to trust even financial advisors or partners or even themselves when they're making financial decisions. So if you think about it, so I'm going to take my father as an example again. God, he is in heaven, bless him. He's probably thinking, good job, Gennye. You need to educate him on these things. So for him, he never educated himself financially. So he just went along with what his mum was doing. More sort of emotion-led sort of purchases, didn't have financial education to understand, like even interest rates and things like that. So obviously he just went along and what this then did, when he did these things, that will have then caused a trauma in my mum. I'm just coming back now to their relationship, because she then felt unsafe. And that would then trigger her. That would then become a money trauma for her, because she had a small child that she didn't feel safe whether she was going to have enough money to put food on the table, because we had the bailiffs on the door when I was about 6 months or something. My mum has been telling me about this. And that would have then, caused the money trauma for her and in me as well. So like a subconscious one in me, because I was only 6 months old. And that means that I kind of don't know it on a mental level or intellectual level, but my body would have remembered some sort of stress around it. So it was registered, basically. So what happened with this is interesting. So since a very early age, I was very good with money. Like, I could manage them really well. I knew I was savvy. I wasn't necessarily rich until I was making more money online, when I started online. I always had a good salary, but I was just like one of these normal people who had a salary, or I worked for myself and I had, a fairly good yearly salary, but it wasn't, multiple six figures or anything like that. Just, a good wage, so to speak. So I decided to extend this into wealth, extend this into exponential wealth, and still be very good with money and not dig my head in the sand, take financial responsibility for everything, being very good with how I manage it. If really think about purchases, do I need this? All those things, all that jazz. I'm going to go in a little bit more into resolutions at the end of this episode today, but I'm going to talk about it in a minute. Anyway, people with unresolved trauma may find it challenging to trust. So, for example, I found it quite hard to trust anyone. And that means that not because somebody has been doing anything financially completely, horrific to me. It's more what I saw happening. So that means that I am always in charge of all finances, which I think is fine, because I'm very good at it, right? So I'm thinking, well, I'm not going to, let anyone decide for me. So we have this agreement, myself and my husband, that I run everything through with him, and then we decide together. So I do all the research, I check everything out, I do all of those things, and then we jointly make a decision, which seems to be working really well. Did you know, by the way, the biggest divorce rate or the biggest reason for divorce in America is finances? I just found this out not long ago, but that's actually the biggest reason. Anyway, so the lack of trust can hinder, anyone to invest or save or even seek financial opportunities. So it could keep you potentially stuck in this paycheck to paycheck sort of scenario, because there is a lack of trust. Where do you go? Where do you start? How do you start creating more money? Where do you put them when you have more? How do you save it? What do you invest in? Because we always have to invest to make more. That's always a key as well. Anyway, let's move through. So the next thing is self-worth and financial success. So trauma itself can actually negatively impact your self-esteem and self-worth. And when individuals don't believe that they deserve financial success or abundance, they may subconsciously sabotage their financial goals or avoid pursuing higher paying opportunities. And then low self-worth can also lead to staying in unhealthy financial situations, such as toxic work environments or relationships. So let's break this down a little bit. When I was 26, I think, I have mentioned this before actually in one of the episodes. My dad did a fraud on my signature, which meant that I was technically responsible or legally responsible for this thing. But obviously I then showed them that it wasn't my signature, so then I was freed from it. But technically I was then owing this money. Now, that made me quite scared of signing on things and, who should I trust and what bank should I go to, or I'm not sure about this mortgage, or just a little bit, generally just gave me a little bit of a trauma there. I've cleared that up, but that kind of affected me. So there's going to be things sometimes that affects a person to pursue the dreams, to go and take risks again, because you could argue that stopped me from taking risks. And it didn't in the end, but at the time I felt quite frozen, to be honest. It was really quite a tricky time at the time. So the next thing is stress and decision making. So any type of trauma, whether it's around money or that is causing a money problem, can lead to chronic stress, which then can impair decision-making abilities. I mean, I've seen people in such financial dire that they are developing physical and emotional ailments, or, eczema or stress. This is could affect somebody. And when under constant stress, this is the flip side of it. Individuals can then make impulsive financial choices or avoid making decisions altogether. So I have a really good example of this. There was somebody I used to go out with for many, many, many years ago. He was living in a lot of scarcity around money. And this was such a typical example. So every sort of 3 or 4 years, or maybe 5, in the UK, you will renew your mortgage, meaning that you will basically get a better loan, or you get a better mortgage, like on a good interest rate, so that you can either be fixed in or you stay on a variable rate. Most people don't do that. Anyway, his rate had finished on the fixed rate, and you're really meant to kind of, I suppose, 3 to 6 months before the rate finish, you should really go and create, agree a new rate somewhere, whether it's with the same mortgage company or whether it's with a new one, so that you have one lined up so that you're not missing out on the good deals. Now, this date passed, and I said to him, why don't you call them up? And he used to bite his nails and be so anxious about basically what rate are they going to give him, like literally paralyzed. And I just couldn't understand it. But now I understand it, knowing so much about finances, success, money, abundance, etc. So it ended with, I think he went on to a variable rate, which ended up costing him a lot more than if he would have gone and fixed himself into on fixed rate, before the old deal was finished, and, get himself a good deal. It wasn't thousands and thousands and thousands of pounds, but maybe a couple of thousand, right? Or I don't know. I actually don't know. But the point here is that he missed out on that. So this type of behavior around money, putting your head in the sand, all those things, being frozen, being paralyzed by the whole thing, avoiding looking at, the different things that needs to be sorted out, and then leaving you with worse off, with a deal that's not working for you. The next thing I want to talk about is like limited financial education. So to be honest, trauma survivors may have had disrupted or limited access to education during their earlier years. And most people probably are not very educated on finances, but that will then impact their financial literacy. So without the necessary financial knowledge, they may struggle to manage their money effectively and then invest wisely or plan for long-term financial goals. So this is such an important piece, because most people don't have an education around money. They don't know what to do with it. Where would they invest? The whole management point of it is as important as clearing the blocks around it. So we want to do both. We want to clear the blocks. We want to up the level, level up, expand the receiving container energetically, and have some real plans for the financial success as well, whether that is saving or investing in real estate or investing in your business and yourself. This is another thing, right? You are the best investment that you could ever invest in, because no one can take anything away from you. If you're investing in your own knowledge, clearing your own energy and anything that's blocking your success, you're always going to succeed. So you are the most, how should I put it? You're the safest bet on your wealth. You are the safest bet on your wealth. Yes, I do suggest with my clients, not that I suggest them, I'm not a financial planner or anything like that, but I do suggest to them to invest in real estate, or if they have any other, some people buy companies and things like that. But if they have any other interests, they may want to invest in this way so they can build their portfolio. Now, this is kind of a little bit overcourse, but what I'm saying here, the combination of both is actually what's going to guarantee you the success. So let's dive into the different approaches now, what you can actually get started with, and what I really recommend. And then you can sort of have a think about where, which part is most important right now, and then, start working towards it. So the first one is obviously healing. So you know about me already. We clear money blocks. I clear trauma. I clear the ancestral and the DNA and the bloodline. I'm a powerful healer, and, I unlock potential in people. We can do that obviously through the Light Up Your Inner CEO program, or you can work one-on-one with me, or you can do a self-study program. You can start with the Ascension Clearing Kit, etc. But really, it's about starting to heal those wounds. That is actually this blanket that is stopping your success. And I also have a course called Money Worship Exposed, and I'm going to drop the link below, but it's actually an amazing money up-level program, which you can dive into that one, purchase that one. But it's amazing because I'm bringing in energy healing and some real good tools that are tangible, like steps, how to create more money. And then I'm also bringing in this program how to actually use your vision, go step into your future self to manifest faster. So it's like a combo of clearing the blocks, manifest faster by stepping into your future self, and then some real good step-by-step processes to actually go and make some money. So it's an amazing program. Money Worship Exposed is called. So that's one. So the next thing I really recommend as well is financial education. Now, I read books all the time on financial success, on entrepreneurship, on healing, on like whatever comes my way that I feel, really inspired to read. And I think this is one of the most important things that you can start there. You can start buying some great books. I'll drop a couple of examples actually, which I think would be good books for you to get started with below, and you can go grab those. I'm not going to go into detail of those books because you can have a look at the list below, but it's really important to step into this ownership about money, ownership about how you handle, your wealth or your debt, if you like, and how you're going to sort that out. Because from that level of commitment and responsibility, you can create limitless wealth, right? The next thing I really suggest is supportive networks. But I mean, this is, for me, this looks like I have very aspirational, ambitious, and, very, very aligned sort of people in my life that are entrepreneurs, other leaders, other visionaries with similar goals. And that is so important because we're hanging out, we share the same things, we cheer each other on for making wins and moving forward and having success. And that boosts your success too, because you're surrounding yourself with really encouraging people. And this also comes to my family. So all of my family is extremely encouraging. My children, my husband, my mum, my mother-in-law, my sister, like all the people that I have in my life that I see regularly are very supportive of my success. And I'm very supportive of their success, right? So very, very important. And then I have a couple of masterminds I'm in and a couple of places where I can seek guidance, and ask questions and things like that as well. So I really recommend this. I mean, obviously we have the Connected Soul Club, which is a place where you start your business and, create programs and things. But obviously it's supportive. Anywhere you find a place where you feel really supported, it's going to 50% boost you, help 50% of the journey is that. The next thing is mindfulness and stress management. So as you go through, so what happens often, this is a really typical pattern. Some clients come to me and they go, I'm in dire, I'm in dire straits financially. It's never been as bad as this. It's almost like they're crashing. It's almost like the phoenix rising. It's like they're having this real extreme sort of trauma, if you like, around money, so that they can really start unpicking and get shown where the wounding is, so that they can completely rise out of the ashes like the phoenix and then start creating their financial wealth and their success. This is exactly what happened to me in 2017 when my dad died. I was always okay, me and my husband, before that, but we had this crash jointly actually in 2017 where he left his company and it didn't work out the way he was hoping for. It was just really tough for both of us. I lost my business premises and I had to start from fresh, but I had nowhere to work from. It was just an utter complete mess. But I got on it straight away and, we sorted it out. But this was our crash. So often I have clients that come and they are in the most sort of dire that they've ever been in. And then from that place, they will start to build on a really fresh platform for themselves, a really fresh place. That obviously doesn't have to happen. That's just happens for some people. But the idea here is to really look at your stuff, become very aware, sort your money stuff out, take responsibility for your wealth building, become focused, invest in clearing, learn. So learning from books is not going to do all of the things you wanted to do. That's probably going to do you 20%. And I'd say 60 to 80% is the clearings, the healings, really diving into this. I'd probably say 60 there, and then 20% is your action taking, learning, where to store your money and take action on things. So strategy, basically. But yeah, so I just want to sort of say that. But yeah, so things like the stress, that if you experience stress from the more money traumas and those things, this is something I teach my clients, is to really come into their bodies and practice how to feel safe. Because when people don't feel safe around money, they go into fight and flight. And when we're in fight and flight, we can't think straight. We can't create to our highest level. We simply can't operate in the level we should operate to optimize our results. So I have a lot of meditations. I mean, in the Connected Soul Club, there's probably about 35 meditations that are extremely good for grounding and calming and bringing you back to your center, so that you know that you have the power to create exactly what you want. So obviously that is really helpful. The Ascension Clearing Kit is amazing, which is also available in the club. And we also have obviously the Money Worship Exposed, which is a separate program just for the money piece of things. But this piece is so important because you don't want to feel rubbish. You want to feel good, even when things are not so great. So whilst you are shifting investing, clearing, learning, upgrading. Pay some attention also to the mindfulness and the meditations and keeping yourself feeling safe whilst you are, working towards your highest level. The next thing is goal setting and planning. So I always set goals. They're like bird's eye view goals. So I might say, okay, well, I'm going to get a home in Sweden. So I'm working towards that goal to get a place there. Not to live there, but to be able to go there whenever I want. And that's one of my goals. I have some other goals together with my husband as well. And we just talk about them. And then we say, well, by this year or by this time, we should have that much, savings, or we start saving towards something and we're taking action and start doing the things. So that's massive, that's really, really important that you do that, and say to yourself, okay, what is it I want to create? And then keep working towards it and take the action steps that is needed in order for it to happen. Okay, I think we're done for today, actually. But I love this topic so much. I love talking about the trauma release and talk about working towards your highest potential, because taking the practical sort of 3D steps together with working on a deeper level with the energy and clearings is the absolute ultimate key to creating the success that you really, really are looking for and desire in your life and your business. Okay, I'll leave all the links below and I'll see you very soon in the next episode. Thank you for listening to Gennye Lyon's Visionary New Earth Leaders podcast. If you're ready to rewire your subconscious mind, clear your programming and collective conditioning, transform your trauma into trust, and step into your soul's calling and true leadership, or if you're ready to unlock your fullest potential through activating your light body and expand your consciousness exponentially, detangle and clear your past life karma and Akashic records, and setting up for success, launch your online spiritual business, and so much more, then go to GennyLyon.love. And if you're receiving value from the show, I would love if you would share it with a friend and give it a 5-star review. Also, you can join me in one of my live free trainings, and you can find it right on the website, as well as in the link in my bio across all social media. I am Gennye Lyon across all platforms. I wish you a blessed day, and may you live your most authentic self.